Don't start your bikes, an 8-year-old boy screamed those words while sprinting towards 7 hellsangels, shoelaces untied, tears streaming, heart exploding. Behind him, his mother screamed his name. In front of him, 7 killers in leather turned with murder in their eyes. But Ethan Cole didn't stop, couldn't stop, because 50 feet away, a man was crawling out from under the last motorcycle brake, fluid still dripping from his cutting tool. 6 bikes. 6 death machines. 6 men who would be corpses on the highway in 3 minutes if this child didn't reach them first. He ran faster. If you believe heroes don't need to be tall, subscribe now. Follow this story to the end. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far one boy's courage can travel. $31. Sarah Cole counted it twice. Then a third time, like the numbers might change if she wished hard enough. They didn't. Mom, Ethan's voice floated from the back seat. Careful, quiet, the way he always spoke now. Yeah, baby, my stomach's making noises. Sarah's jaw tightened. I know. We'll eat at home. She didn't mention that home had a nearly empty fridge, that the landlord had taped another eviction warning to their door yesterday, that the collection agency had called 6 times this week about the $47,000 she owed from her dead husband's medical bills. The fuel light glared orange, had been glaring for 19 miles. Big Jim's truck stop appeared on the right. Sarah pulled in because she had no choice. Stay in the car, okay? Don't unlock the doors for anyone. Ethan nodded. He always did what she said. Too obedient for an 8-year-old. Too quiet. Too watchful. His kindergarten teacher had called him exceptionally observant. What she meant was that Ethan noticed things other kids missed. What she didn't understand was why. 2 years ago, Ethan had walked into their garage and found his father's body, 6 years old. Half of Michael's head was gone. The service weapon mez still in his hand. Since that morning, Ethan watched everything, everyone. Every shadow, every movement, every potential threat. His childhood had ended in that garage, replaced by a hypervigilance that no therapy could touch. Sarah swiped her card and prayed. The pump started. She exhaled. Ethan pressed his forehead against the window. The truck stop buzzed with activity. Semis rumbled in the far lot. A woman yelled at her kids near the bathroom entrance. An old man fed coins into a vending machine. And then Ethan saw the motorcycles. 7 of them, chrome and black and gleaming in the Arizona sun. The riders stood in a loose circle by the air pumps, passing around cigarettes, laughing about something. Hell's Angels. Ethan recognized the patches. His dad had pointed them out once, back when Dad was still alive, still whole. See those guys, son? Dangerous men. But dangerous doesn't mean evil. Sometimes it just means they've survived things that would have killed weaker people. Ethan wasn't scared of them. He was curious. Then he saw the other man, Shem. Black windbreaker. Baseball cap pulled low. Moving wrong. That was the only way Ethan could describe it. The man moved wrong. Too careful. Too aware. Checking over his shoulder every few seconds. He crouched beside the first motorcycle. Ethan's eyes narrowed. The man's hands disappeared under the bike, near the wheels, near the brake lines. Ethan stopped breathing. His father's voice crashed through his memory. A Sunday afternoon, grease and motor oil, the old Yamaha that Dad never finished restoring. This here's a brake line, buddy. See it? This little tube is what keeps you alive. Someone cuts this, your brakes are gone. And when your brakes are gone at 60, 70 miles an hour, you crash, you dash, fast and ugly. Remember that. Ethan remembered. The man moved to the second motorcycle. Tell someone, the thought screamed through Ethan's brain. But who Mom was pumping gas? The truckers didn't care. The Hells Angels were scary and huge and covered in tattoos, and the man finished the second bike, moved to the third. 3 bikes, 3 dead men. If nobody stopped him, 4 bikes now, 4 dead men. Ethan's hands shook. His chest hurt. His father had died because nobody could help him, because the war in his head was invisible and silent, and nobody knew how to stop it. But this wasn't invisible. This was happening right now, right in front of him, and he could see it. 5 bikes, 5 dead men. Ethan unbuckled his seatbelt. His mother would be furious. She told him to stay. She always told him to stay, And he always listened because listening was safe, and safe was all they had left. But those men would die. They would climb on their motorcycles and twist their throttles and ride onto the highway, and then their brakes would fail and they would crash, and their families would get phone calls, and their mothers would scream, and their kids would find their bodies, and Ethan opened the car door. 6 bikes now. The man was moving fast. Ethan ran. Ethan, his mother's voice. Terrified, far away. He didn't stop, couldn't stop. His sneakers slapped the hot asphalt. His untied laces whipped against his ankles. His lungs burned. The bikers saw him coming. 7 heads turned. 7 pairs of eyes locked onto the small boy, sprinting toward them like something was chasing him. What the hell, Tio? Kid, slow down. You lost little man. Ethan didn't slow down. Don't start your bikes. His voice cracked. Broke, came out as something between a scream and a sob. Don't start them. Please, there's a man, he's cutting your brake lines. I saw him. Silence. The kind of silence that happens when the world stops spinning. The biggest biker stepped forward. Massive. A graybeard braided into thick ropes. Arms sleeved with faded tattoos. Eyes like concrete. What did you say? Ethan pointed. His whole arm shook. There. The man in black, he was under your bikes. He had a tool. He was cutting the lines. My dad taught me what brake lines look like, and he was cutting them. The biker's head snapped toward the motorcycles. The man in the windbreaker was already running. Razor, shadow, go! 2 bikers exploded into motion. The man in black sprinted toward the back lot, toward a black SUV idling near the dumpsters. Check the bikes now. A lean biker with a scar across his neck dropped to his knees beside the first Harley. His hands moved fast, expert. Cut. His voice was dead, flat, clean cut. Second bike. Cut. Third. Cut. Fourth. Cut. Fifth. Cut. Sixth. Cut. The scarred biker looked up at the big one. His face was gray. Gunner, 6 out of 7. If that kid hadn't... He didn't finish. He didn't need to. The man in black reached the SUV, threw himself inside. Tires screamed. The vehicle rocketed toward the highway. Plates. Arizona TRJ 847 Black Ford Expedition. Gone, disappeared into traffic. The biker named Gunner stood frozen, staring at his motorcycle. The only one untouched. The only one that wouldn't have killed him. His hands were shaking. This man who looked like he'd never been afraid of anything in his entire life had hands that trembled like leaves. Sarah reached at Ethan and grabbed him so hard his ribs creaked. What were you thinking? I told you to stay in the car. I told you. Mom, he was going to kill them. You could have been hurt. You could have been... Ma'am, Gunner's voice cut through her panic. Low, rough, thick with something she couldn't identify. She looked up. The massive biker stood 3 feet away, tears running down his weathered face. Tears. Your son just saved 6 lives, he said, mine included. Sarah couldn't process it. Her brain refused. I don't understand. Those brake lines, Gunner pointed at the motorcycles. Cut clean. Professional job. We were about to leave. 2 more minutes and we'd have been on I-40 doing 75. First time we touched the brakes. He drew a finger across his throat. All of us. Dead. Every single one. Sarah's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the asphalt, pulling Ethan with hairs. Oh my God. Your boy saw the guy, saw what he was doing, and instead of staying safe, he ran straight at a bunch of Hell's Angels to warn us. Gunner crouched down, eye level with Ethan. That's the bravest damn thing I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. Ethan's voice was small, shaking. My dad taught me about brake lines. He said if they're cut, people die. Your dad was right. I didn't want anyone else to die. Gunner's jaw tightened. He glanced at Sarah, then back at Ethan. Anyone else? Sarah shook her head slightly. Not now, please. But Ethan answered anyway. My dad died 2 years ago. He was sick in his head from the war and he couldn't make it stop, so he made himself stop instead. Gunner closed his eyes, breathed out slowly. I'm sorry, son. I'm real sorry. It's okay. Mom says he's not hurting anymore. She's right. He's not. Gunnar stood, extended his hand to Sarah. She took it and he pulled her up like she weighed nothing. I'm Gunnar, president of the Hells Angels Flagstaff chapter. This is Razor, my VP. He nodded at the scarred biker. We owe you, both of you, more than we can ever repay. You don't owe us anything, Sarah said automatically. Anyone would have... No. Razor stepped forward. His voice was hard, certain. Anyone wouldn't have. Most people would have looked away, minded their own business. Your kid didn't. That matters. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone called it in, a biker announced. Cops are 2 minutes out. Gunnar nodded. Good, we need this documented. He looked at Sarah. You'll need to give a statement. Your boy too. And then we can go. Gunnar and Razor exchanged a glance. Something passed between them that Sarah couldn't read. Ma'am, Gunnar said slowly, the man who cut our lines, his name's Vincent Torres, enforcer for the Desert Scorpions. Rival club. Okay. He saw your son's face. He knows there's a witness. A witness who can identify him, describe him, put him at the scene. Sarah's blood turned to ice water. What are you saying? I'm saying you and your boy are in danger now. Torres reports to people who don't leave witnesses breathing. No. The word came out strangled, desperate. No, we're not part of this. We just stopped for gas. We're not... I know. Gunnar's voice was gentle, patient. I know you didn't ask for this, but that doesn't change what happened. Sarah's arms tightened around Ethan. Her son, her whole world, the only thing she had left. What am I supposed to do? I work at a diner. I make $8 an hour plus tips. I can't afford protection. I can't afford to run. I can barely afford to exist. You don't have to afford anything. Razor stepped closer. The club has resources, safe houses, people who can watch your back. I can't take charity. I've got $47,000 in medical debt. I'm 3 months behind on rent. I can't owe anyone else anything. Gunnar crouched down again. This time he looked at both of them, mother and son. This isn't charity. This isn't a loan. This is a debt. Your boy saved our lives. In our world, that means something. It means everything. We protect our own. We're not your own. You are now. Sarah wanted to argue, wanted to refuse, but exhaustion crashed over her like a wave. She was so tired of fighting alone, so tired of drowning. Just until it's safe. Just until we find out who's behind this and shut them down. Sarah looked at Ethan, her brave, broken, beautiful boy. Okay, she whispered. Okay. The cops arrived. Officer Martinez, tired eyes, gray mustache, the look of a man who'd stopped being surprised by anything years ago. Gunnar, he nodded at the biker. Got a report about vandalism. Attempted murder, Gunnar corrected. 6 counts, cut brake lines. Martinez examined the bikes. His face went hard. Professional work. Yeah. The boy witnessed it and stopped it. Saved every one of us. Martinez turned to Ethan, his voice softened. Hey, buddy, I'm Officer Martinez. Can you tell me what you saw? He's young. Ethan described everything. The man in black, the baseball cap, the way he moved from bike to bike, the tool in his hand, the scorpion tattoo on his wrist. Martinez wrote it all down. His eyebrows rose at the tattoo detail. You're sure about the scorpion? Yes, sir, it was on his right hand between his thumb and his finger. That's very specific. I remember things, Ethan said quietly. I always remember things. Martinez glanced at Sarah. She nodded. He does. Photographic memory almost. His teachers say it's a gift. Today it definitely was. So, after the statements, Martinez pulled Sarah aside. Off the record, you should take whatever protection these guys are offering. Sarah blinked. You're telling me to trust Hell's Angels. I'm telling you that Vincent Torres is connected to some very bad people, people who make problems disappear. I can put a patrol car on your street for maybe 48 hours. After that, he shrugged. Budget cuts, understaffed, the usual excuses. And them, they're not excuses, they're solutions. Martinez lowered his voice. I've been working this beat for 20 years. Gunner's a hard man, but he's not a bad one. He says he'll protect you. He will. Take the help. Tayo. The safe house was 40 minutes east of Flagstaff. A small ranch, white fence, security cameras on every corner. Gunner was waiting when they arrived. 2 bedrooms, kitchen stocked, yards fenced 8 feet high, razor wire on top. You need anything, you call. Day or night. Sarah walked through the house, clean, simple, comfortable, better than her apartment. How long do we have to stay here? Until we neutralize the threat. And if you can't, Gunner's eyes met hers, cold, certain. We will. Ethan found the backyard, a swing set, rusted but functional. He sat on one of the swings and pushed off gently. Mom, Sarah leaned against the door frame watching him. Yeah, baby. Do you think Dad can see us? Her throat closed up. I hope so. I think he can. I think he saw me save those men. I think he's proud. Sarah crossed the yard and knelt beside the swing. Tears streamed down her face. Baby, your dad was always proud of you. Always. What happened to him wasn't about you or me. It was about a sickness that he couldn't beat. I know. Ethan's voice was steady, too steady for an 8-year-old. But I still miss him. Me too, baby, every single day. That night after Ethan fell asleep, Sarah sat on the porch. A biker named Dutch stood guard at the fence, rifle across his lap, cigarette glowing in the dark. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her hands shook as she opened the message. We know who you are. We know where your son goes to school. Children disappear every day. Sarah's vision tunneled. Her chest seized. She screenshot the message, sent it to Gunner. His response came in 45 seconds. Lock the bedroom door. Get Ethan away from windows. I'm 5 minutes out. She ran inside, scooped Ethan from the bed. He woke up confused, scared. Mom, what's happening? It's okay, baby. We just need to move. She carried him into the bathroom. No windows. Locked the door. Sat on the floor with her son in her arms and waited. Motorcycles roared outside. Voices, footsteps. A knock on the bathroom door. Sarah, it's Gunner. It's safe. She unlocked the door. Gunner stood there with Razor and Shadow behind him. Their faces were stone. Let me see the phone. She handed it over. Gunner read the message. His jaw tightened so hard she heard his teeth grind. They mentioned his school. I saw. How did they know about his school? We haven't told anyone where we are. Shadow stepped forward, tall, silent, eyes like black pits. They tracked her phone from before, when she was still at the truck stop. His voice was soft, almost gentle, completely terrifying. These aren't street thugs. Someone with serious resources is running this. Who? Sarah demanded. Who would go this far? Gunner was quiet for a long moment. There's a man, Marcus Blackwood, real estate developer. Big money, big connections. He's been trying to buy our clubhouse land for 2 years. Wants to build a casino. A casino? This is about real estate. This is about $30 million and a man who doesn't hear no. We've refused every offer. Last month, Blackwood's lawyer told us we'd regret our decision. I figured it was just talk. And now I think he hired the Scorpions to take us out, start a war between clubs, let us kill each other. Then he swoops in and takes what he wants. Ethan appeared in the doorway, eyes wide, face pale. Mom, why are people trying to hurt us? Sarah couldn't answer, couldn't find words. Gunner crouched down, eye level with the boy. Because you did something brave, and brave things make cowards angry. But here's what you need to know. He put his hand on Ethan's shoulder. Nobody's gonna hurt you. Not while I'm breathing. Not while any of us are breathing. You understand? Ethan nodded slowly. Good. Now go back to bed. We've got this. After Ethan was settled, Razor laid out the plan. We go public tomorrow. Get their story on the news. Make the boy visible. Sarah's stomach dropped. You want to put my son on television? I want to make killing him impossible. Right now you're a secret. Secrets are easy to bury. But a kid who saved Hell's Angels, A story that goes viral, that's different. You can't disappear someone the whole country's watching. And if Blackwood doesn't care if he decides to kill us anyway, then we kill him first. Razor said it simply, like he was discussing the weather. Sarah realized in that moment exactly what kind of men she'd aligned herself with. Dangerous men. Men who solved problems in ways that didn't involve lawyers or courts, but also men who kept their word. The news van arrived at noon the next day. Rachel Chen, Arizona Action News. Camera crew. Lights. The whole circus. Ready? She asked Sarah. No. Perfect. Honest answers make better television. The interview lasted 40 minutes. Sarah told everything, the gas station, the brake lines, Ethan's scream, the threats, all of it. Aren't you scared? Rachel asked. Sarah looked directly into the camera. Terrified. But my son taught me something yesterday. He taught me that you have to speak up when you see something wrong. Even when you're scared. Especially when you're scared. I can't tell him to be brave and then be a coward myself. The segment aired at 6. By 7, it had been shared 15,000 times. By 9, 50,000. By midnight, The Boy Who Saved Hell's Angels was the #1 trending story in America. Sarah's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Big mistake. You'll regret this. She forwarded it to Gunnar. His reply, let them come. Somewhere in Phoenix, Marcus Blackwood watched the news coverage. His penthouse, marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, a glass of scotch in his hand worth more than Sarah made in a week. This is a problem, said the man standing in the shadows. This is an opportunity. Blackwood's voice was ice. Now we know exactly where they are. And the whole world is watching, which means we need to be creative. What do you want me to do? Blackwood swirled his scotch, took a slow sip. The mother, she's the key. Take her, and the boy will do whatever we want. The bikers too. And after, Blackwood smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. After we make sure nobody can testify to anything. Ever. The sun hadn't risen yet when Gunnar called a meeting at the clubhouse. Sarah sat in the corner of the room, watching 15 Hell's Angels crowd around a wooden table covered in maps, photographs, and documents. Ethan was still asleep at the safe house guarded by Dutch and 2 other brothers. She hated leaving him, but Gunnar had insisted. You need to understand what we're dealing with, he'd said, and your boy doesn't need to hear this. Now she understood why. Marcus Blackwood. Razor slapped a photograph onto the table. A man in his mid-50s, silver hair, designer suit, the kind of smile that belonged on a shark. Net worth estimated at $400 million. Owns half the commercial real estate in Phoenix, golf buddies with the governor, donated $2 million to the sheriff's re-election campaign. He owns the sheriff, Sarah's voice cracked. He owns a lot of people. Gunnar's jaw was tight, which is why we can't go to the cops with this. Blackwood's got connections in every department from here to Tucson. Shadow stepped forward. He'd been silent until now, standing in the corner like a statue carved from darkness. I ran his financials. 3 months ago, Blackwood transferred $200,000 to a shell company in Nevada. That company paid Vincent Torres $50,000 2 weeks later. $50,000 to kill us, a biker named Priest muttered. Cheap bastard. $50,000 was the down payment. Shadow's voice was ice. The rest comes when the job is done. Sarah felt sick. So what do? We can't go to the police. We can't hide forever. What options do we have? Gunnar looked at her. Something shifted in his eyes. Respect, maybe, or recognition. We have one option. We take the fight to him. How? Blackwood's untouchable because nobody's ever had proof, but Torres is sloppy. He left evidence at the truck stop. Brake fluid on his clothes, tool marks that match a specific brand. If we can connect Torres to Blackwood directly, we can bring the whole thing down. And how do you connect them? Razor smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Torres has a girlfriend, lives in Mesa. Word is he keeps records. Insurance in case Blackwood ever decides to cut him loose. You're going to rob his girlfriend. We're going to have a conversation with her. Politely. Sarah didn't believe the politely part for a second, but she was past caring about the morality of motorcycle club justice. Someone had threatened her son. Someone had put a target on an 8-year-old's back. Whatever happened next, they'd earned it. When tonight, the meeting broke up an hour later, Sarah rode back to the safe house with Gunnar, her mind spinning with everything she'd learned. You okay? Gunnar asked as they pulled up to the ranch. No, but I don't think okay is an option anymore. It'll get better. Will it? Gunnar was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that surprised her. I had a son once. Tommy. Good kid, smart. Had his whole life ahead of him. His hands tightened on the handlebars. He got mixed up with the wrong people. Owed money to a dealer in Phoenix. I told him I'd handle it, told him to lay low. But Tommy was proud, stubborn. He tried to fix it himself. Sarah waited. They found his body in the desert 3 days later. He was 19 years old. Gunnar, I'm so sorry. That was 12 years ago. Not a day goes by I don't think about what I could have done different, what I should have seen. He looked at her, and for the first time she saw the grief behind the granite. Your boy sees things. He saw Torres when nobody else did. That gift saved my brother's lives. It might have saved his own too if things had gone different. Don't let anyone ever make him feel bad about that. I won't. Good. Now go inside. Get some rest. Tonight's going to be long. Sarah found Ethan in the backyard playing with a stray dog that had wandered onto the property the day before. Gunnar had let the boy keep it. Said every kid needed a dog, especially one who'd been through what Ethan had. Mom? Ethan ran to her, the dog bounding behind him. Look, Sergeant learned to fetch, well, kind of. He mostly just chases the ball and then lies down. Sarah laughed. It felt foreign in her throat, like a language she'd forgotten how to speak. That's great, baby. What else did you do today? Dutch taught me how to play poker. Don't worry, we didn't bet real money. Just cookies. I won 7 Oreos. 7? That's impressive. Dutch says I have a good poker face. He says I don't give anything away. Of course he didn't. Her son had learned to hide his emotions the day he found his father's body. It wasn't a skill. It was a scar. Come inside, okay? It's getting late. Can Sergeant come too? Yes, Sergeant can come too. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She lay in the unfamiliar bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to Ethan's steady breathing beside her. The dog was curled at their feet, snoring softly. Her phone buzzed. She grabbed it, heart pounding. It was Razor. We got her. Torres' girlfriend, she's talking. You need to hear this. Sarah slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Ethan. She pulled on jeans and a sweatshirt and stepped onto the porch where Dutch was standing guard. Everything okay, ma'am? Razor texted, said I need to hear something. Dutch nodded and handed her a burner phone. Use this. Gunnar's orders. Your personal phone might be compromised. She dialed Razor's number. He answered on the first ring. Sarah, you sitting down? No. You should be. She sat on the porch steps. What did she say? Torres wasn't just hired to kill us. That was phase 1. Phase 2 was the real plan. What's phase 2? Why? Razor's voice was tight, hard. Blackwood wants your son. Sarah's blood stopped moving. What? Not dead, alive. Torres was supposed to cut our lines, wait for the crash, then grab Ethan in the chaos. The whole thing was a distraction. The real target was always your boy. Why would he want my son? Leverage. Blackwood figured if he had the kid, you'd recant your statement. Say you made it all up. Without a witness, the whole case falls apart. Torres walks, Blackwood walks, everyone walks except you and Ethan. Sarah couldn't breathe, couldn't think. But it didn't work, she managed. Ethan warned you. Torres ran. So now Blackwood's moving to Plan B, direct acquisition. What does that mean? It means he's sending people, real people, not scorpions, private contractors, the kind of guys who snatch people for a living. Sarah's vision tunneled. Went trading. We don't know. Could be tomorrow. Could be tonight. That's why I'm calling. We need to move you. Move us where? Somewhere Blackwood can't find. Somewhere off the grid completely. I thought the safe house was off the grid. It was until Torres's girlfriend told us that Blackwood has eyes in the county assessor's office. He's been pulling property records for every parcel the club owns. It's only a matter of time before he figures out where you are. Sarah wanted to scream, wanted to throw the phone across the yard and pretend none of this was happening. But Ethan was inside. Her son, her whole world. Tell me what to do. Pack a bag. Essentials only. We'll be there in 20 minutes. She was ready in 10. Ethan woke up confused, rubbing his eyes. Mom, what's happening? We need to move, baby. Right now. Why did the bad men find us? She couldn't lie to him, couldn't protect him with false comfort anymore. They're trying to, but we're going somewhere they can't reach. Ethan nodded, no tears, no panic. Just that terrible adult acceptance that no 8-year-old should possess. Can Sergeant come? Yes, Sergeant's coming too. 3 motorcycles pulled up 10 minutes later. Gunner, Razor, and Shadow. Their faces were grim. Cars out back, Gunner said. Blacked out windows. Untraceable plates. Shadow's driving. Razor rides escort. I'll stay here, make it look like you're still inside. Won't that put you in danger? I'm always in danger. Comes with the patch. He looked at Ethan. You trust me, kid. Ethan nodded. Good. Whatever happens tonight, you stay with Shadow. He's the best we've got. He'll keep you safe. What about my mom? Your mom, too, both of you, I swear it. The drive took 4 hours. Shadow said nothing the entire time. He drove with mechanical precision, checking mirrors every 30 seconds, taking random turns that made no logical sense, until Sarah realized he was checking for tails. Ethan fell asleep against her shoulder, the dog curled in his lap. Sarah watched the desert scroll past in the darkness and wondered how her life had gotten here. A week ago, she'd been worried about rent and grocery bills. Now she was fleeing in the middle of the night from a billionaire who wanted to kidnap her son. You're thinking too loud. Shadow's voice startled her. It was the first thing he'd said in hours. Sorry. Don't be sorry. Just be aware. Thinking burns energy. You'll need that energy later. How do you stay so calm? Shadow was quiet for a moment. Then I don't feel calm. I feel focused. There's a difference. What's the difference? Calm is the absence of fear. Focus is fear channeled into purpose. I'm terrified right now. Terrified that I'll fail, that I'll make a mistake and someone will get hurt. But terror is useful if you know how to use it. Sarah stared at him, this silent, deadly man who'd barely spoken 10 words since she'd met him. You don't seem like the type who gets terrified. Everyone gets terrified. The ones who say they don't are either lying or dead. Which one are you? Shadow almost smiled. Almost. Still figuring that out. They arrived at the new safe house just before dawn, a cabin in the mountains north of Prescott. No neighbors for miles, no roads except the one they'd come in on. This place belongs to a friend, Shadow explained. Not club property, not connected to any of us. Blackwood would have to search every square inch of Arizona to find it. And if he does, then I'll be here. It wasn't bravado. It was a promise. The first day passed slowly. Ethan explored the cabin, played with Sergeant, asked 1,000 questions about the mountains and the trees and the wildlife. Sarah tried to match his energy, but exhaustion pulled at her like gravity. Razor arrived at noon with supplies, food, water, medical kit, and something he handed to Sarah with a serious expression. You know how to use this? It was a handgun, small, black, heavier than she expected. My husband taught me before he deployed. Good, keep it with you, safety's here. Magazine release here. You get 15 rounds, make them count. I don't want to shoot anyone. Nobody does. But if someone comes through that door who isn't one of us, you aim for center mass and you keep pulling the trigger until they stop moving. Sarah's hands trembled as she took the gun. What about Ethan? Ethan has Shadow, and Shadow has enough firepower to start a small war. Razor's expression softened slightly. Your job isn't to fight. Your job is to survive. Everything else is our problem. That night, Sarah sat on the cabin porch watching the stars. Her phone buzzed. The burner phone. The safe one, she answered. Sarah, Gunner's voice. Tight. Wrong. We've got a problem. What happened? Blackwood made a move, sent 6 men to the old safe house. They hit it hard. Flash grenades, automatic weapons, the whole show. Sarah's heart stopped. Was anyone hurt? Dutch took a round to the shoulder. He'll live. But Sarah, Gunner paused. They weren't there to kill us. They were there to capture. They had zip ties, sedatives, a van with blacked out windows. They were coming for Ethan. Yes. But we weren't there. No, which means they'll know we moved you. they'll know we're onto them. And that makes Blackwood desperate. What does desperate mean? It means he stops playing games. It means he escalates. Sarah closed her eyes. What do we do? We end this. Tomorrow, Razor found something in Torres's girlfriend's phone. Text messages between Torres and Blackwood's personal assistant. Direct communication. Direct orders. Enough to bring Blackwood down if we can get it to the right people. The FBI, there's an agent, Martinez's cousin, works organized crime out of the Phoenix field office. He's been trying to build a case against Blackwood for years. This could be the missing piece. So we give him the evidence. It's not that simple. The messages are on a burner phone that Torres keeps in his apartment. We need to get it. How Razor's working on it, but Sarah Gunner's voice dropped. There's something else. Something I need to tell you. What? Blackwood knows who you are now, not just your name, your history, your husband's death, everything. Sarah's stomach clenched. How? He's got people everywhere. Police, hospitals, government records. He pulled your file, knows about Michael's service, knows about the PTSD, knows how he died. Why does that matter? Gunner was quiet for a long moment. Because he's planning to use it against you. His lawyer filed a motion this morning, claiming you're mentally unstable, that you've been suffering from paranoid delusions since your husband's suicide, that your son is in danger in your barn. Sarah couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. He's trying to take Ethan legally. If the judge grants emergency custody, they can walk right in and grab your boy without firing a shot. That's insane. I'm not unstable. I know, but Blackwood's got doctors who'll say whatever he pays them to say. He's got lawyers who've never lost a case, and he's got a judge in his pocket who owes him 3 campaign contributions. Sarah felt the world spinning, tilting, everything she'd fought to hold together crumbling in her hands. When hearings in 48 hours, Friday morning. I have 48 hours to prove I'm not crazy. You have 48 hours to prove Blackwood's the real criminal. If we can get that evidence to the FBI before the hearing, the whole thing falls apart. Blackwood goes to prison. The custody motion gets thrown out. You and Ethan are safe. And if we can't, silence. Gunner, if we can't, then we disappear. You, Ethan, new identities, new lives. Somewhere Blackwood will never find you. That's not a life, that's running forever. It's breathing. Sometimes that's enough. Sarah ended the call, sat in the darkness, let the tears come. She cried for Michael, for the life they should have had, for the son who'd already lost so much and stood to lose so much more. Then she wiped her eyes, straightened her spine, felt something hard and cold settle into her chest. No more running, no more hiding. If Marcus Blackwood wanted a war, she'd give him one. The next morning, Sarah found Shadow cleaning his weapons at the kitchen table. 3 handguns, 2 rifles, a knife that looked like it could cut through steel. I need to learn, she said. Shadow looked up. Learn what? Everything. How to shoot, how to fight, how to protect my son if everything falls apart. Shadow studied her for a long moment. Whatever he saw in her eyes must have satisfied him. Sit down. For the next 6 hours he taught her, not just how to shoot, she already knew that, but how to move, how to think, how to see threats before they materialized. Fear is a tool, he said as she practiced reloading. Don't fight it, use it. When you're afraid, you're alert. When you're alert, you see things others miss. Is that how you do it? Stay so focused. I do it by remembering what I'm fighting for. What are you fighting for? Shadow ejected the magazine, slammed a fresh one home. Everyone I couldn't save. That night, Razor called with news. We got it. Torres's phone, messages, voice memos, everything. Martinez's cousin is flying in from Phoenix. He'll be here at dawn. It's really going to end. One way or another. Sarah hung up. For the first time in days, she felt something like hope. Then Ethan's scream shattered the silence. She ran, burst through the bedroom door. Ethan was sitting up in bed, eyes wide, face pale, pointing at the window. There's someone outside. I saw them. Watching. Shadow materialized beside her gun already drawn. Stay here, don't move. He disappeared into the darkness. Sarah grabbed Ethan, pulled him close. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Minutes passed, each one an eternity. Then Shadow's voice from outside, calm, cold, clear. It was a deer. Sarah exhaled. Her whole body shook, but Ethan shook his head. No, Mom. It wasn't a deer. Deer don't wear black jackets. Shadow reappeared in the doorway. His expression had changed. What did you see, Ethan? Exactly. A man, by the big tree. He was looking at the cabin. Then he moved back into the woods when Shadow came out. Shadow's jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone. Gunner, we've been made. Get everyone here, now. He looked at Sarah. They found us. Shadow moved fast. Lights off, curtains drawn, weapons distributed. How many? Sarah asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Unknown. Could be one scout. Could be a full team. Shadow handed her the handgun she'd trained with. Remember what I taught you. Center mass. Keep pulling. Good. Ethan sat on the floor, Sergeant pressed against his side. The boy's face was pale but focused. That terrible calm that no child should possess. Mom. Yeah, baby. Are they coming to take me? Sarah knelt beside him, took his face in her hands. Nobody's taking you anywhere. You hear me? Nobody. Okay. Okay. Shadow's phone buzzed. He answered, the listened, hung up. Gunner's 15 minutes out. Razor's bringing the FBI agent. We just need to hold until they get here. And if we can't, Shadow checked his rifle. Chambered around. Then I buy you time to run. The next 12 minutes were the longest of Sarah's life. Every sound amplified, every shadow suspicious. She sat with Ethan in the bathroom, the room with no windows, the room Shadow had designated as the last fallback point. Mom, I'm scared. I know, baby, me too. But you're still here. I'll always be here. Ethan leaned against her. His small body trembled. Dad used to say that before he went away the last time. He said he'd always be here. Sarah's heart cracked. Baby, your dad wanted to be here. More than anything. He got sick in a way that nobody could fix. I know. I just miss him. Me too. Mom. Yeah. If something happens to you, what do I do? Sarah pulled back, looked into her son's eyes, 8 years old and already preparing for the worst. Nothing's going to happen to me. But if it does, she swallowed hard, then you find Gunner, or Razor, or Shadow. They'll protect you. Promise, I promise. The sound of motorcycles cut through the silence. Multiple engines, growing louder. Shadow appeared in the doorway. They're here. Our people. Sarah exhaled, grabbed Ethan's hand. Come on. They emerged from the bathroom to find Gunner and 4 other bikers pouring through the front door. Armed, alert, ready. Status, Gunner demanded. 1 contact confirmed, possibly more in the woods. Ethan spotted him. Gunner looked at the boy. You saw him, Ethan nodded. By the big tree, black jacket. He was watching. Good eyes, kid. Gunner turned to his men. Priest Vince, sweep the perimeter. Anyone who isn't us, put them down. 2 bikers disappeared into the darkness. Where's Razor? Sarah asked. 20 minutes behind. He's got the FBI agent and the evidence. We just need to keep you safe until... Gunfire erupted outside. Everyone dropped. Shadow shoved Sarah and Ethan behind the couch. Gunner and his men took positions at the windows. Contact north side. I count 4. No 5. Where the hell did they come from? More gunfire. Glass shattered. Someone screamed, Priest is down! Priest is down! Gunner's face went hard. Return fire, keep them back. The cabin became a war zone. Muzzle flashes lit the darkness. Bullets punched through walls. Sarah covered Ethan with her body, the gun Shadow had given her, clutched in her white-knuckled grip. Shadow, Gunner shouted. Get them out! Back door, now! Shadow grabbed Sarah's arm. Move! They ran, through the kitchen, toward the back door. Shadow reached for the handle. The door exploded inward. A man in tactical gear crashed through, weapon raised. Shadow reacted on instinct. 2 shots. The man dropped. But there was another behind him. Shadow spun. Not fast enough. The second man's rifle butt caught him across the temple. He went down hard. Sarah raised her gun. Fired. Missed. Fired again. The man staggered but didn't fall body armor. He backhanded her. Stars exploded across her vision. The gun flew from her fingers. Mom! Ethan's scream cut through the chaos. Sarah saw him, her baby, being grabbed by a third man who'd appeared from nowhere. No! She lunged. Something hit the back of her head. Darkness. When Sarah woke, she was in a vehicle. Van, she thought. Moving. Her hands were zip-tied behind her back. Her head throbbed. Mom! Ethan's voice. Close. Terrified. Baby, I'm here. I'm here. They got us, Mom. They got us. Sarah's eyes adjusted to the darkness. Ethan sat across from her, hands-bound, tears streaming down his face. A man in tactical gear sat near the van's rear doors, rifle across his lap. Shut up, the guard said. Both of you. Sarah ignored him. Ethan, look at me. Are you hurt? No. Good, that's good. What's going to happen to us? The guard laughed. What's going to happen is you're going to make a phone call. You're going to tell those biker friends of yours that you were wrong about everything, that you made it all up, that you're sorry for wasting everyone's time. And if I don't, the guard leaned forward. His eyes were flat, dead. Then we start with the boy's fingers, one at a time. Sarah's blood turned to ice. But something else happened too, something she hadn't expected. The fear crystallized, hardened, became something sharper. You touch my son, I'll kill you. The guard laughed again. Lady, you're zip-tied in the back of a van. You're not killing anyone. Maybe not today, but eventually, and I'm patient. The guard's smile faltered. Just for a second, but Sarah saw it. Good. Let him wonder. The van stopped 20 minutes later. Sarah heard voices outside, doors opening. Then the rear doors swung wide and harsh light flooded in. Bring them. 2 men dragged Sarah out. 2 more grabbed Ethan. They were at some kind of warehouse, industrial, remote, the kind of place where people disappeared. Inside, Marcus Blackwood was waiting. He looked exactly like his photograph. Silver hair, designer suit, shark smile. But in person, there was something else. A coldness that photographs couldn't capture. A complete absence of anything human behind his eyes. Mrs. Cole, his voice was smooth, practiced. I apologize for the rough treatment. My associates can be overzealous. Where's my son? Right here, unharmed, and he'll stay that way as long as you cooperate. Sarah looked at Ethan. The boy stood between 2 guards, small and terrified, but not broken. Not yet. What do you want? Blackwood smiled. I want you to make a phone call to that news reporter, Rachel Chen. You are going to tell her that you lied, that you never saw anyone tampering with those motorcycles, that your son has an overactive imagination and you got swept up in the attention. No one will believe that. They'll believe what they're told to believe. People always do. Blackwood stepped closer. You make the call, you recant your statement, and then you and your son disappear. New identities, new life, far away from Arizona. And if I refuse, Blackwood's smile didn't waver, then your son becomes leverage in a custody battle. And trust me, Mrs. Cole, the facilities I have access to are far less pleasant than this warehouse. You can't take my son. You have no legal standing. I have a judge who owes me 3 elections. I have doctors who'll swear you're mentally unstable. I have lawyers who've never lost a case. He leaned in close. I have everything, Mrs. Cole, and you have nothing. Sarah stared at him. This monster in a suit. This man who would threaten a child to protect his real estate deals. My son saved 7 lives. He's braver than you'll ever be. Blackwood's smile flickered. Your son is a liability, a loose end. The only reason he's still breathing is because I prefer clean solutions. But my patience isn't infinite. Neither is mine. She spat in his face. For one frozen second, nobody moved. Then Blackwood wiped his cheek. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes went very, very cold. Bring the boy. No, Sarah lunged. A guard caught her, slammed her against the wall. She kept fighting. Ethan, run. But there was nowhere to run. Guards everywhere, doors locked. Ethan struggled against the men holding him, but he was 8 years old and they were trained professionals. Mom. Blackwood grabbed Ethan's chin, forced the boy to look at him. You see, young man, your mother is being very uncooperative. And when people don't cooperate, there are consequences. Leave him alone, Sarah screamed. I'll do it. I'll make the call. Just don't hurt him. Blackwood released Ethan, straightened his jacket. That's better. See, everyone can be reasonable. He pulled out a phone. You'll read from a script, word for word. Any deviation and my associate here, he gestured to a guard with a knife, will remind you of what's at stake. Sarah's hands shook as they cut her zip ties. The phone felt like a death sentence in her palm. Rachel Chen's number. Ringing. This is Rachel. Rachel, it's Sarah Cole. Sarah, are you okay? We've been trying to reach you. There are reports of a shooting near Prescott. I need to tell you something. Sarah looked at the script in Blackwood's hand, the lies she was supposed to speak. I need to tell you that She hesitated. Blackwood's guard moved toward Ethan. I lied. The words tasted like poison. About what happened at the way station. I didn't see anyone tampering with those motorcycles. My son has an overactive imagination and I got caught up in... Sarah, Rachel's voice was sharp. Sarah, are you safe? Blink twice if you're in danger. I can't. We know about Blackwood. The FBI contacted us an hour ago. They have evidence. They're coming. Sarah's heart stopped. Blackwood saw her expression change. His eyes narrowed. What did she say? She said... Sarah's mind raced. She said she needs video for verification. She won't run the story without video proof. Blackwood studied her. Suspicious. But the lie was plausible. Fine, we'll record it. He snapped his fingers. Get the camera. A guard disappeared through a side door. Sarah's brain worked furiously. The FBI knew. They had evidence. They were coming. She just needed to stall, just needed to buy time. I want to see my son. You can see him after, now, or I don't say another word. Blackwood's jaw tightened, but he nodded. They brought Ethan to her. Sarah pulled him close, whispered in his ear so quiet that only he could hear. Help is coming. Be ready. Ethan's eyes widened slightly, but he didn't react, didn't give anything away. Good boy. Good brave boy. The camera arrived. A guard set it up on a tripod. Blackwood handed Sarah a new script, longer this time, more detailed. From the top, and make it convincing. Sarah took a breath, looked at the writer, started reading. My name is Sarah Cole. On October 15th, I made a false statement to the police regarding gunfire outside. Everyone froze. What the hell? Blackwood turned to his men. Check it out. 2 guards ran toward the door. It exploded inward before they reached it. Gunner came through first, then Razor, then Shadow, bloodied, bandaged, but very much alive. Behind them, men in FBI tactical gear with federal agent blazoned across their vests. Freeze, FBI, nobody move. Chaos erupted, guards reaching for weapons, agents shouting commands. Blackwood backing toward a rear exit. Sarah grabbed Ethan, threw him to the ground, covered him with her body. Gunshots, screams, the sounds of men fighting and dying, then Gunner's voice cutting through the noise. Blackwood, Sarah looked up. Gunner had the developer cornered. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It's over, Gunner said. FBI's got your phone records, got Torres's confession, got everything. Blackwood's shark smile was gone. In its place, something desperate, dangerous. You think this changes anything? I'll be out in a week. I have lawyers, I have connections. You have nothing. An FBI agent stepped forward, badge in one hand, handcuffs in the other. Marcus Blackwood, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, kidnapping, witness tampering, and corruption of public officials. You have the right to remain silent. Blackwood's face twisted. For one moment, Sarah thought he might surrender, accept defeat. Then he moved. A hidden gun, small, deadly, aimed at Gunner. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. Sarah didn't think, didn't hesitate. She grabbed the gun from a fallen guard, raised it, fired. The bullet caught Blackwood in the shoulder. He spun, dropped his weapon, collapsed, but not before he got one shot off. The bullet hit Gunner in the chest. Gunner, Razor caught him as he fell, blood spreading across the big man's leather vest. So much blood. No, no, no. Razor pressed his hands against the wound. Stay with me, brother. Stay with me. Sarah ran to them, Ethan right behind her. Someone call an ambulance. Already done. an FBI agent shouted. 3 minutes out. Gunner's eyes were glazing. His breath came in shallow gasps. Razor, don't talk, save your strength. Tell, tell the kid. Tell him yourself. You're not dying today. Gunner's hand reached out, found Ethan's, squeezed weakly. You did good, son. You did real good. Please don't die. Ethan's voice broke, tears streaming. Please, I already lost my dad. Please don't die. Something shifted in Gunner's eyes, a spark, a determination. Not today, kid. Not today. He held on. 3 minutes felt like 3 years. But the paramedics arrived, loaded Gunner onto a stretcher, rushed him toward a waiting helicopter. Sarah stood in the chaos. Ethan clutched against her, watching the man who'd protected them disappear into the sky. Will he be okay? Ethan asked. Sarah didn't know, couldn't know. He's strong, she said. The strongest person I've ever met. Besides you. She looked down at her son. This brave, broken, beautiful boy who'd started everything with 4 words at a gas station. Besides us, she said, we're pretty strong too. Razor approached. His face was haggard, exhausted, but there was something like hope in his eyes. Blackwood's in custody. So are 12 of his men. Torres flipped it completely, gave the FBI everything in exchange for witness protection. And the custody motion, dead. The judge who was going to hear it just got arrested for taking bribes. Turns out Blackwood had half the county in his pocket. Sarah felt something release in her chest. A tension she'd been carrying so long she'd forgotten it was there. So it's over. Razor hesitated. The danger's over. What comes next? He looked at Ethan. That's up to you. What do you mean? The club talked. After everything you've been through, everything you've done, you're family now, if you want to be. There's a house, jobs, a community, a place where Ethan can grow up safe. Sarah thought about her apartment, the eviction notices, the debt collectors, the life that had been slowly crushing her for years. Then she thought about the past week. The terror, yes, but also the protection, the loyalty, the strange family she'd found in the most unexpected place. I need to think about it. Take all the time you need. The next hours blurred together, police interviews, FBI debriefings, medical checkups. Someone wrapped a blanket around Sarah's shoulders. Someone else brought Ethan hot chocolate. Through it all, she kept thinking about Gunner, about the bullet, about the helicopter disappearing into the darkness. At 3 a.m., Razor's phone rang. He answered, listened. His face went pale. Sarah's heart stopped. What is it? Razor lowered the phone. His eyes were wet. He's out of surgery. Bullet missed his heart by half an inch. Doctors say he's going to make it. Sarah collapsed into a chair. The relief was so overwhelming she couldn't breathe. He's okay. He's alive. And knowing Gunner, he'll be back on his bike in a month, telling everyone how he took a bullet and kept fighting. Ethan tugged on Sarah's sleeve. Mom, can we go see him? Tomorrow, baby, when he's stronger. But I want to tell him something. What? Ethan's voice was quiet, certain. I want to tell him he's my family now, if that's okay. Sarah looked at Razor, at Shadow standing guard by the door, at this strange, violent, loyal world that had opened its arms to her and her son. Yeah, baby, she said softly. I think that's okay. Outside, dawn was breaking. A new day, a new beginning. And somewhere in a hospital room, a man with a bullet wound and a heart too big for his chest opened his eyes and asked for the kid who'd saved his life. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Sarah had spent enough time in places like this. Watching Michael deteriorate, watching the VA doctors shake their heads, watching hope drain away one visit at a time. But today was different. Today she was walking toward life instead of death. Ethan held her hand. His grip was tight, nervous. What if he doesn't want to see us? He asked for you, baby, first thing when he woke up. But what if he changed his mind? Sarah stopped, knelt down, looked her son in the eyes. Ethan, that man took a bullet because he was protecting us. He almost died for us. He's not going to change his mind. Dad didn't mean to leave either, but he did. The words hit Sarah like a physical blow. 8 years old and her son still carried that wound, still measured every relationship against the one that had broken him. Your dad was sick, baby, in a way that nobody could see. Gunner's different. This family is different. How do you know? Because they came for us. When Blackwood had us, when everything was lost, they came. They didn't give up. They didn't quit. She squeezed his hands. That's how I know. Ethan nodded slowly, not convinced, but willing to try. They walked into Gunner's room together. He looked smaller in the hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere, monitors beeping steadily. His massive frame seemed diminished somehow, wrapped in white sheets and vulnerability. But his eyes were the same, sharp, aware, alive. There he is. Gunner's voice was rough, weak, but warm. The kid who saved my life twice now. Ethan approached the bed slowly. Twice. Once at the bus station, once at the warehouse. Gunner tried to smile. It turned into a wince. Your mom's got pretty good aim, by the way. Blackwood's going to have a hell of a scar. Sarah felt her stomach clench. She'd shot a man, actually pulled the trigger and put a bullet in human flesh. The reality of it hadn't fully hit her yet. I didn't mean to. I just saw him pointing at you and you saved my life. Gunner's voice was firm despite its weakness. Don't apologize for that. Ever. But I shot someone. You stopped a killer. He reached out his hand, weak, trembling. Sarah, listen to me. I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of. Made choices that keep me up at night. But what you did, that was righteous. That was protecting family. Family, the word hung in the air. Ethan stepped closer to the bed. Mr. Gunner. Just Gunner, kid. Mr. Gunner was my father and he was an asshole. Gunner, can I tell you something? Anything. Ethan's voice was small, careful, the way he always spoke when something mattered. When my dad died, I thought I'd never have a family again. Just me and Mom, and that was okay. But then we met you, and Razor, and Shadow, and everyone. He paused, swallowed hard. And I know you're not my dad, I know that, but you feel like family, and I wanted you to know. In case you died, I wanted you to know before you died. Gunner's eyes glistened, this massive, terrifying man with tears running down his weathered cheeks. Come here, kid. Ethan climbed onto the bed, careful of the tubes and wires. Gunner wrapped one arm around him, held him close. I'm not dying. Not today. Not for a long time. And you know why? Because I've got something to live for now. He looked at Sarah over Ethan's head. Both of you. Your family. Not because of blood, not because of paperwork, because of what you did, what you are. That's family. Sarah couldn't hold back anymore. The tears came, weeks of fear and stress and survival crashing over her in waves. She crossed to the bed, sat on the edge, let Gunner take her hand with his free one. Thank you, she whispered, for everything. Don't thank me yet. You haven't seen the clubhouse. He managed a weak grin. Place is a mess. Razor appeared in the doorway. He'd been standing there for a while, Sarah realized, watching. His expression was soft, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen before. Doc says you need rest, he said to Gunner. Doc can kiss my ass. He said you'd say that too. Also said if you don't rest, he'll sedate you. Gunner grumbled but didn't argue. He released Ethan and Sarah slowly, reluctantly. Come back tomorrow. Every day, Sarah promised, until they kick us out. They won't. I own the hospital. You do not. I know some guys who know some guys. Same thing. Razor walked them out. The morning sun was bright, warm. It felt wrong somehow after everything they had been through. How are you holding up? Razor asked quietly. Sarah considered lying, considered saying she was fine, she was strong, she didn't need anyone's concern. Instead, she told the truth. I shot a man last night. You saved a life last night. Both things can be true. Razor stopped walking, turned to face her. Yeah, they can, and they are. You're going to have nightmares. You're going to second guess yourself. You're going to wonder if there was another way. He paused. That's normal. That's human. But don't let it eat you alive. Blackwood would have killed Gunner, would have killed all of us. You stopped him. That's not murder. That's survival. How do you do it? Live with the things you've done? I focus on the things I've protected. His eyes moved to Ethan, who was kneeling a few feet away, petting a stray cat that had wandered over. Every choice I've made, good or bad, led me here. To this moment. To people worth fighting for. That's enough. Most days that's enough. Sarah watched her son, this brave, broken, beautiful boy who'd somehow held together through everything. He asked Gunnar if he was family. I heard. He's never done that before. Never let anyone in. Not since Michael died. Razor was quiet for a moment. Then, you've raised an incredible kid, Sarah. He sees people. Really sees them. That's rare. Don't let the world take that from him. I'm trying. I know. That's why he stopped. Looked away. Why what? Nothing. It's not the right time. Razor, why what? He met her eyes. Something vulnerable there. Something scared. That's why I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you both have the life you deserve. Whatever that looks like. Whatever you need. I'm here. It wasn't a declaration of love. Not exactly, but it was something. A promise. A foundation. Thank you, Sarah said softly. Don't thank me yet. You haven't seen my cooking. She laughed, actually laughed. It felt strange and wonderful and terrifying all at once. The next few days blurred together. FBI interviews, police statements, district attorneys building cases. Sarah told her story so many times she started dreaming about it. Blackwood's arrest made national news. Real estate mogul exposed as criminal mastermind. Corruption reaching into every level of government. Politicians scrambling to distance themselves. Judges resigning. Police chiefs under investigation. And at the center of it all, boy who had shouted 4 words at a gas station. The kid who saved Hell's Angels became a national headline. Interview requests poured in from every network. Book deals, movie offers. Everyone wanted a piece of Ethan's story. Sarah refused them all. He's 8 years old, she told Rachel Chenin when the reporter called for a follow-up. He's not a commodity, he's not a brand, he's my son. The public wants to hear from him. The public can want all they like. Ethan's had enough trauma for a lifetime. I'm not putting him through more. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Then, I respect that, I do. But Sarah, there's talk of a congressional hearing. They want Ethan to testify about what he saw, about Blackwood's operation. Sarah's blood went cold. He's 8. I know. But Blackwood's lawyers are fighting hard. They're trying to discredit every witness. Ethan's the only one who saw Torres at the gas station. Without his testimony, they walk. Maybe, probably not, but it would help. Sarah hung up, sat in the safe house living room, tried to breathe. Ethan found her there an hour later. Mom, you okay? Yeah, baby, just thinking. About what? She couldn't lie to him, couldn't protect him from this. They want you to testify at a big trial. Tell everyone what you saw at the gas station. Ethan considered this. His face was calm, too calm for a child. Would it help catch the bad guys? It might. Then I should do it. Baby, you don't have to. It's scary. There will be lawyers asking hard questions. Cameras. Lots of people watching. I know. Ethan sat beside her. But Mom, you said I have to speak up when I see something wrong, even when it's scary. This is speaking up, right? Sarah's heart cracked and swelled at the same time. Yeah, baby, this is speaking up. Then I want to do it. Are you sure? No, he took her man, but I was scared at the gas station too, and I did it anyway. This is the same thing. Sarah pulled him close. This tiny giant of a son who'd somehow become braver than anyone she'd ever known. Okay, we'll talk to the lawyers. Together. Together. The congressional hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. Washington, D.C., the whole circus. But first Gunnar came home. The club threw a party, not the wild, chaotic kind that Sarah had imagined. Something smaller, warmer. A gathering of brothers and sisters who'd nearly lost their leader. Gunnar arrived in a wheelchair, doctor's orders, though he complained loudly the entire time. I can walk, damn it. You can walk when the bullet hole finishes closing, Razor replied. Until then, you're a passenger. I hate being a passenger. I know. That's why it's fun for us. The clubhouse was nothing like Sarah had expected. She'd imagined something dark, seedy, criminal. Instead, she found a large common room with mismatched furniture photographs covering every wall and the smell of barbecue drifting from somewhere outside. What do you think? Razor asked, watching her take it in. It's homey. Don't sound so surprised. I'm not, I'm just, she struggled for words. After everything I've heard about motorcycle clubs, about Hell's Angels specifically, I expected something different. We're not saints, we've done things, but this place, he gestured at the room at the people filling it. This is home for a lot of people who never had one. Ethan had already disappeared into the crowd. Sarah spotted him near the back, talking to Shadow, who was teaching him something involving a deck of cards. He fits in, Razor observed. He fits everywhere, it's a gift. Gets it from his mom. Sarah looked at him. I don't fit in. I've never fit in. I've always been the widow, the struggling, single mom, the one everyone pities, but nobody actually helps. You fit here. Razor's voice was soft. Certain. You just haven't realized it yet. Gunner's voice boomed across the room. All right, everyone, shut up. I've got something to say. The crowd quieted. All eyes turned to the man in the wheelchair. 2 weeks ago, I almost died. Some of you were there. You saw it. He paused. But I'm not dead. I'm here. And I'm here because of 2 people. He pointed at Sarah and Ethan. That kid saw something that nobody else saw. He had the guts to run toward danger instead of away from it. And his mom, Gunner's voice cracked slightly. His mom put a bullet in the man who was about to kill me. Without hesitation. Without training. Just pure, raw courage. Sarah felt every eye in the room turn to her. She wanted to disappear. In our world, that means something. It means everything. Gunner pulled something from his pocket, a small leather patch. Sarah Cole, Ethan Cole, you're officially family, now and forever. Anyone has a problem with that, they can take it up with me. He handed the patch to Ethan. The boy's eyes went wide. For real. For real, kid, you've earned it. Ethan looked at Sarah. She nodded, tears streaming. Thank you, Ethan whispered. Thank you. The crowd erupted, cheers, applause, brothers and sisters welcoming their newest members. In the chaos, Razor appeared at Sarah's side. You okay? I don't know what I am anymore. Your family. He took her hand, squeezed gently. That's a start. The party lasted until midnight. Ethan fell asleep on a couch, Sergeant curled at his feet. Shadow carried him to a back room that had been converted into a makeshift bedroom. He's out cold, Shadow reported. Won't wake up until morning. Sarah nodded. Thank you for everything. Don't mention it. Shadow paused at the door. He's a good kid. Reminds me of someone. Who, me, a long time ago, before everything went wrong. He disappeared before she could respond. Razor found her on the porch an hour later. The night was cool, stars scattered across the desert sky. Can't sleep, he asked. Too much in my head. Want company? Always. He sat beside her, close but not touching, respectful. Tell me something about yourself, Sarah said. Something real, something that's not about the club or the war or any of this. Razor was quiet for a long moment. I was married once, 20 years ago. Her name was Elena. We had a daughter, Maria. What happened? Car accident, drunk driver. I was at work, got the call at 2 a.m. His voice was flat, controlled. But underneath, Sarah could hear the cracks. I held Maria in my arms while she died. She was 4 years old, asked me why it hurt so much. I couldn't answer her. Sarah's heart shattered. Razor, I'm so sorry. That was the day I became who I am. The day I stopped being David Martinez and became Razor. The day I joined the club. He paused. Some people run from pain. I ran toward it. Figured if I was going to hurt anyway, might as well hurt for something. Is that why you protect Ethan so fiercely? He's the age Maria would be, if she'd lived. Razor's voice broke, just slightly. I know that's probably weird. I know I'm not his father, but watching him protecting them, it feels like a second chance. Like maybe I can do for him what I couldn't do for her. Sarah took his hand, held it tight. That's not weird. That's beautiful. They sat in silence for a while, just breathing, just being. I'm scared, Sarah admitted finally. Of what? of the hearing, of Washington, of putting Ethan through all that. But also, she hesitated. Also of this, of feeling something again. I told myself after Michael that I wouldn't let anyone in, wouldn't risk that pain again. And now I'm sitting on a porch at 2 a.m. holding hands with a biker named Razor, thinking about things I swore I'd never think about again. Razor turned to face her. His eyes were soft in the moonlight. I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to rush you. Whatever this is, whatever it becomes, you set the pace. I'll follow. What if I never want more than this? Then this is enough. You can't mean that. Sarah. He lifted her hand, pressed his lips to her knuckles. Gentle. Reverent. I spent 20 years believing I'd never feel anything good again. And then this kid shows up, saves my brothers, and brings his incredible mother into our lives. Whatever happens from here, it's already more than I ever expected. She didn't kiss him. Not yet. Wasn't ready for that step. But she leaned into him, rested her head on his shoulder, let herself be held. And for the first time in 2 years, Sarah Cole felt something like peace. The next 3 weeks passed quickly. Lawyer meetings, preparation sessions, hours of coaching. Ethan on how to answer questions, how to stay calm, how to handle aggressive cross-examination. They're going to try to confuse you, the FBI attorney explained. They're going to ask the same question different ways. Try to get you to contradict yourself. Ethan nodded seriously. Like when Mom asks if I cleaned my room and then asks again later to see if I changed my answer. The attorney smiled. Exactly like that. I never changed my answer, even when I didn't clean my room. Good. Hold on to that. Sarah watched her son transform, not into something harder, something more solid. He was preparing for battle the way his father used to prepare for deployment. Focused, determined, ready. I'm proud of you, she told him the night before they left for Washington. I'm scared, Mom. That's okay. Brave people get scared too. The difference is they do the hard thing anyway. Is that what Dad used to say? Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. Yeah, baby. That's exactly what Dad used to say. The morning of the hearing, Gunner showed up at their hotel room. He was walking now with a cane, but walking. Razor and Shadow flanked him. You didn't think we'd let you face this alone, Gunner said. Sarah couldn't speak, just pulled him into a hug. Careful, bullet wound. Shut up, he laughed, winced, laughed again. All right, let's go make history. The hearing room was overwhelming, cameras everywhere, senators at a raised platform, lawyers on both sides, media packed into every available inch, and at the center of it all, one small boy in a borrowed suit ready to change the world. State your name for the record, the chairman said. Ethan leaned toward the microphone. His voice was steady. Ethan Michael Cole. And do you understand why you're here today, young man? Ethan looked at his mother, at Gunner, at Roser and Shadow in the gallery. Then he looked at the senators, at the cameras, at the millions of people who would watch this moment. Yes, sir, I'm here to tell the truth, because telling the truth is important, even when it's hard, even when it's scary. My mom taught me that. My dad taught me that. And the people who became my family taught me that too. He paused, took a breath. I'm ready. The hearing lasted 6 hours. 6 hours of questions. 6 hours of lawyers trying to twist an 8-year-old's words. 6 hours of senators grandstanding, ears for cameras, while a child sat alone at a table telling the truth. And Ethan never wavered. Not once. You say you saw the defendant tampering with motorcycles. But you were inside a car, correct? Yes, sir. And the car was how far away? 50 feet, 100. I don't know exactly. Far. So you expect this committee to believe that an 8-year-old child sitting in a car 50 to 100 feet away could accurately identify specific actions being performed on motorcycles? Ethan leaned forward. His voice was calm. I saw a man crawl under 7 motorcycles. I saw him use a tool. I saw brake fluid dripping. My dad taught me what brake lines look like. He was a mechanic. He showed me before he died. The lawyer hesitated. Ethan continued. I know what I saw. I'm not lying. I don't know how to lie good enough to make all this up. Scattered laughter rippled through the gallery. Even some of the senators smiled. Young man, the chairman said, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've heard testimony from generals, clothes, and presidents. but I don't think I've ever heard anyone speak with more conviction than you just did." Ethan looked at him. "Is that good?" "That's very good, son." Blackwood's lawyer tried 3 more times to shake Ethan's story. Each time the boy answered simply, directly, truthfully. No contradictions, no hesitation, no fear. When it was over, the chairman called a recess. Sarah rushed to Ethan's side. "You did it, baby. You did it." "Did I help?" "You helped more than you'll ever know." Gunnar appeared beside them. His eyes were wet. "Kid, I've watched grown men break under that kind of pressure. You just sat there and told the truth like it was the easiest thing in the world." "It is easy," Ethan said. "Lying is hard. You have to remember what you said. Truth is just truth." Razor laughed, actually laughed out loud. "Where did you get this kid?" "I don't know," Sarah said, pulling Ethan close, "but I'm keeping him." The verdict came 3 weeks later. Marcus Blackwood, guilty on all counts. Conspiracy to commit murder, kidnapping, witness tampering, and corruption of public officials. The judge gave him 47 years. He'd die in prison. Vincent Torres guilty, 25 years. No parole. 12 of Blackwood's associates guilty, sentences ranging from 5 to 30 years. The corrupt judge disbarred, facing his own trial. The sheriff resigned, under investigation. It was over. Finally, completely, irreversibly over. Sarah got the call from the FBI while she was making dinner at the clubhouse. She dropped the phone, stood frozen in the kitchen, couldn't breathe. Razor found her there 5 minutes later. "Sarah, what's wrong? Guilty." Her voice was a whisper. "All of them, guilty." Razor caught her as her legs gave out, held her while she sobbed. Not sad tears, relief tears. The kind that came when you finally stopped holding your breath after 2 years of drowning. "It's over," she kept saying. "It's really over. It's over." Ethan ran in alarm by the commotion. "Mom, what happened?" Sarah pulled him into the embrace. Razor wrapped his arms around both of them. "The bad men are going to prison, baby. All of them. Because of what you did." Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then, "Good. They deserved it." Yes, they did. That night the club threw another party. Bigger this time. Brothers from chapters across Arizona. Families, friends, everyone who'd played a part in bringing Blackwood down. Gunnar gave a speech. He was walking without the cane now, though he still moved carefully. "1 year ago, I was getting ready to ride out of a gas station. Didn't know that 5 minutes later, I'd have crashed on the highway. Didn't know that someone had cut my brake lines. Didn't know that a kid I'd never met was about to save my life." He paused, looked at Ethan. "That kid taught me something. He taught me that courage isn't about being big or strong or scary. It's about seeing something wrong and speaking up, even when you're small, even when you're scared, even when everyone else is looking the other way." He raised his glass. "To Ethan Cole, the bravest person I've ever met." "To Ethan," the room echoed. Ethan turned red, buried his face in Sarah's shoulder. "Mom, this is embarrassing." "Get used to it, baby. You're a hero. I just told the truth. That's what heroes do." The next morning, Sarah woke to find Razor making breakfast. Pancakes, bacon, fresh coffee. "What's all this celebration breakfast? Also, I wanted to talk to you about something." Sarah's stomach tightened. "That sounds serious." "It is." He set down the spatula, turned to face her. "The club voted last night, unanimous. We want to offer you a job." "A job?" "Community outreach coordinator. You'd organize our charity events, manage our public relations, help with the legitimate side of things." He paused. "It pays $42,000 a year, plus benefits, plus the house, so us." Sarah stared at him. "The house? The safe house, the one in Prescott. Club voted to transfer the deed to you. Free and clear, no strings attached." "I can't, that's too much." "It's not nearly enough." Razor took her hands. "Sarah, you and Ethan changed everything for us. Our reputation, our purpose, our future. Before you came along, we were just another motorcycle club that people crossed the street to avoid. Now we're the guys who protected a widow and her son, the guys who took down a corrupt billionaire, The guys who actually stand for something. That wasn't me. That was Ethan. It was both of you, and it was us responding to what you gave us. He squeezed her hands. Take the job. Take the house. Let us be your family for real. Sarah thought about her old apartment, the eviction notices, the debt collectors, the life that had been slowly suffocating her. Then she thought about the past year, the terror, yes, but also the love, the protection, the community she'd found in the most unlikely place. Can I think about it? Take all the time you need. She didn't need long. By lunch, she'd made her decision. Yes. Razor's face split into a grin. Yeah, yes. To the jaw. To the house, to all of it. He picked her up, spun her around, set her down and kissed her. Their first real kiss. Soft, gentle, full of promise. Finally, Gunnar called from the doorway. I was starting to think you two would never figure it out. Shut up, Razor said, but he was smiling. Ethan appeared beside Gunnar, looked at his mother and Razor, at their intertwined hands. Does this mean Razor's going to be my dad? The room went silent. Razor knelt down, eye level with the boy. I'm not trying to replace your dad, Ethan. Nobody could do that. But if you'll let me, I'd like to be part of your family, whatever that looks like. Ethan considered this. His face was serious, thoughtful. Do you promise not to leave? The question hit like a punch to the gut, not just for Razor, for everyone in the room. I promise, Razor said. I promise I will do everything in my power to be here for you, for as long as I'm breathing. My dad promised too, but he couldn't keep it. I know, and I know that makes it hard to trust, but your dad was fighting something inside himself, something none of us could see. I'm not fighting that battle. I'm right here, present, healthy, and I'm not going anywhere. Ethan looked at his mother. She nodded slightly. Okay, he said finally. You can be part of our family. Razor pulled him into a hug. Over Ethan's shoulder, Sarah saw tears streaming down his face. 20 years of grief, 20 years of guilt, 20 years of believing he'd never have a family again. Healed in a single moment by an 8-year-old's trust. The months that followed were the happiest of Sarah's life. She threw herself into the dream. Organized charity rides, coordinated toy drives, managed media relations, turned the Hells Angels Flagstaff chapter from a feared name into a respected one. The medical debt disappeared, not paid off, dismissed. Turns out, when you help take down a criminal conspiracy that reaches into hospital administration, certain bills tend to vanish. Ethan started school, made friends, joined the chess club, still saw his therapist once a week, but the nightmares were fading. The hypervigilance was easing. He was becoming, slowly but surely, a normal kid. And Razor moved in. Not right away, not rushed. They took their time, let Ethan adjust, let the relationship deepen naturally. But by spring, he was there. Every morning, every night, cooking breakfast, helping with homework, teaching Ethan to work on motorcycles. He's got good hands, Razor told Sarah one evening. Steady, patient. His dad taught him well. Michael would have liked you. You think, I know you're the kind of man he respected. Loyal, honest, protective. She paused. He would have been glad Ethan has you. Razor was quiet for a moment. Then, I wish I could have met him. Me too. The anniversary approached slowly. 1 year since the gas station. 1 year since everything changed. Gunnar had an idea. We should do something. Mark the occasion. Turn it into something positive. Like what? A ride, a charity ride. Ethan's ride. All proceeds go to veterans' families. PTSD support. Suicide prevention. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Gunnar, your husband served. He deserved better than what he got. A lot of guys do. Maybe we can't fix the VA, but we can help the families they leave behind. That's perfect. Damn right it is. The planning took weeks, coordinating with chapters across the state, securing permits, organizing sponsors. Rachel Chen agreed to cover it for Arizona Action News. The morning of the ride dawned clear and bright. October in Arizona. Perfect weather, perfect day. Sarah stood at Big Jim's truck stop, the same gas station where it had all begun, and watched motorcycles pour in from every direction. Dozens at first, then hundreds. How many? She asked Gunner. Lost count at 300. They're still coming. Riders from Phoenix, Tucson, Prescott, Sedona. Brothers and sisters she'd never met, all showing up for a kid who'd saved their president's life. And at the center of it all, Ethan, 9 years old now, wearing a junior Hells Angels vest that Gunner had custom made. You ready, kid? Ethan nodded. His face was serious but not scared, confident in a way that still surprised Sarah sometimes. I'm ready. Gunner handed him a microphone. The crowd quieted. 1 year ago, Ethan began, his voice carrying across the parking lot. I was sitting in my mom's car right over there. I saw a man doing something bad to some motorcycles. I was scared to say anything. The bikers looked scary. I didn't know if they'd believe me. He paused, looked at the hundreds of faces watching him. But my dad taught me that you have to speak up when you see something wrong. Even when it's hard, even when it's scary. So I ran, and I screamed, and they listened. His voice cracked slightly. My dad died 2 years before that. He was a soldier. He had PTSD. He couldn't make the bad things in his head stop, so he made himself stop instead. For a long time, I was angry at him. I thought he left because he didn't love us enough. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. She hadn't known he'd felt that, hadn't known he'd been carrying that anger. But I don't think that anymore. I think he loved us so much that he couldn't stand hurting us with his pain. I think he thought we'd be better off without him. He was wrong, we weren't better off. But I understand why he thought that. Ethan looked at Gunner, at Razor, at Shadow and Dutch, and all the brothers who'd become his family. These people taught me something my dad couldn't. They taught me that asking for help isn't weakness. They taught me that family isn't just blood. They taught me that it's okay to be scared as long as you don't let fear stop you from doing what's right. He raised the microphone higher. Today we ride for veterans' families, for people like my mom who have to pick up the pieces when someone they love is gone, for kids like me who grow up wondering if they could have done something different. His voice strengthened. We ride to say you're not alone. You're never alone. There's always someone who will listen if you speak up. He handed the microphone back to Gunner. The crowd was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole parking lot erupted in applause. Hundreds of tough, hardened bikers wiping their eyes and cheering for a 9-year-old boy who just said everything they couldn't. Gunner pulled Ethan into a hug. Your dad would be proud, he whispered. So damn proud. You think he's watching? I know he is. The ride stretched for miles. 347 motorcycles rolling down Route 66 in perfect formation. Sarah rode behind Razor, her arms wrapped around his waist. Ethan rode with Gunner perched on the back of the president's Harley, waving at the crowds that had gathered along the road. They raised over $200,000 that day, enough to fund a new support group for veterans' families in Flagstaff, enough to establish a scholarship in Michael Cole's name, enough to prove that good could come from tragedy. That night, after the crowds had gone and the cameras had stopped rolling, Sarah found herself standing at Michael's grave. She hadn't been here in months, hadn't been able to face it, but today felt right. Hey, baby, she whispered. It's been a while. The headstone was simple. Michael David Cole, beloved husband and father, served with honor. Ethan spoke today in front of hundreds of people about you, about us, about everything. She knelt down, touched the cold stone. He's so much like you, Michael. Brave, stubborn, can't stand to see anyone in trouble. Tears fell. She let them. I met someone. His name's David. Razor. He's good, Michael. Really good. He treats Ethan like his own. He treats me like I matter. She laughed softly. You'd probably hate him at first. All that leather and tattoos. But you'd come around. You always did. She pulled a photograph from her pocket. The three of them, her Ethan and Razor at the clubhouse. Smiling. Happy. I'm not replacing you. I could never replace you, but I'm letting myself live again. And I think that's what you would have wanted. I think that's why you left those notes, those letters telling us to move on to find happiness, to not let your death be the end of our story. She placed the photograph against the headstone. Our story isn't over, Michael. It's just different now. Ethan's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And wherever you are, whatever comes next, I hope you're finally at peace. She stood, wiped her eyes. I love you. I'll always love you. But I'm ready to love again, too. The wind rustled through the cemetery, soft, gentle, almost like an answer. Sarah smiled and walked back to where Razor was waiting. You okay? Yeah. She took his hand. I'm okay. 1 month later, Razor proposed. Nothing fancy, no grand gestures, just the two of them on the porch of their house watching the sunset, Ethan inside doing homework. I don't have a ring yet, he said. Didn't want to wait for the jeweler. But Sarah Cole, will you? Yes. He blinked. I didn't finish. You didn't need to. He laughed, pulled her close, kissed her like they had all the time in the world. Mom Razor Sergeant ate my math homework. They broke apart laughing. Did he really? Sarah called back. No, but he looked like he was thinking about it. Then do your homework before he changes his mind. Razor shook his head. Our kid. Our kid, Sarah agreed, and for the first time in years, the word didn't hurt. It didn't remind her of what she'd lost. It reminded her of what she'd found. The wedding happened in spring, small, simple. At the clubhouse, surrounded by family, both the blood kind and the chosen kind. Gunnar officiated. Turned out he'd gotten ordained online years ago. You never know when you'll need to marry someone, he explained. Ethan was the ring bearer. He walked down the aisle with more solemnity than most adults could muster. You look pretty, Mom. Thank you, baby. Razor looks nervous. He should be. He's marrying way out of his league. Ethan grinned. That's what Gunnar said. The ceremony was short, the vows were simple, but when Razor slipped the ring onto Sarah's finger, she felt something click into place. Something that had been missing for so long, she'd forgotten what wholeness felt like. I now pronounce you husband and wife, Gunnar announced. Razor, you may kiss your bride. And don't make it weird there are children present. The kiss was perfect, not too long, not too short, full of promise and joy and the kind of love that grows from shared trauma and mutual rescue. Ladies and gentlemen, Gunnar Bell, I present to you Mr. and Mrs. David and Sarah Martinez and their son Ethan, the family that started with 4 words at a gas station and ended up changing all our lives. The crowd cheered, glasses raised, tears flowed. Shadow standing in the corner, as always, actually smiled. It looked rusty like a muscle that hadn't been used in years, but it was real. Dutch was openly sobbing. I love weddings, he kept saying. Don't judge me. And in the middle of it all, a 9-year-old boy stood between his mother and his new stepfather, holding both their hands, feeling something he had almost forgotten existed. Safety, belonging, home. Later that night, after the dancing and the toasts and the increasingly inappropriate biker stories, Sarah found Ethan sitting on the porch with Sergeant. Can't sleep. Too happy to sleep. She sat beside him. Me too. Mom. Yeah, baby. Do you think Dad would be okay with it, with Razor, with everything? Sarah thought about it, really thought. I think your dad would be grateful. Grateful that someone stepped up. Grateful that you have a father figure again. Grateful that I'm not alone anymore. I miss him. I know, I miss him too. But I like our family now. Is that okay? That's more than okay. That's exactly what he would have wanted. Ethan leaned against her. Sergeant's tail thumped against the porch. Mom, yeah. I'm glad I said something. At the gas station, I'm glad I didn't stay in the car. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. Me too, baby. Me too. It was scary. I know. But it was worth it. She pulled him close. Her brave, beautiful boy who changed everything with 4 words. It was worth it. The night settled around them. Stars scattered across the Arizona sky. Motorcycles gleamed in the driveway. Laughter echoed from inside where their family, their real family, was celebrating. And Sarah realized something she'd been too busy surviving to notice. She wasn't drowning anymore. For 2 years after Michael's death, she'd been treading water, barely keeping her head up, watching the shore get farther and farther away. But then Ethan had shouted those 4 words, and everything had changed. Not because of luck, not because of fate, because her son had seen something wrong and refused to stay silent. Because strangers had become protectors, and protectors had become family. Because courage was contagious, and love could grow in the most unexpected places. Razor appeared in the doorway. "You two okay out here?" "Perfect," Sarah said. "Just perfect." He sat beside them, wrapped his arm around her, ruffled Ethan's hair. "You know what I was thinking," he said. "What?" "This time next year, Ethan's ride is going to be even bigger. We've already got chapters from Nevada and New Mexico asking to join. Could be 1,000 bikes. 1,000? Maybe more. All because a kid decided to speak up." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "I just did what was right." "That's the point, son. You did what was right when most people would have done nothing. That's not just courage. That's character." Gunner's voice boomed from inside. "Hey, cake's being cut. If you three don't get in here, I'm eating your pieces." "Coming," Sarah called back. But she didn't move. Not yet. She looked at her son, at her husband, at the life she'd built from the ashes of tragedy. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" Razor asked. "For everything. For protecting us, for loving us, for giving us a family when we had nothing. Sarah, you gave us more than we gave you. You gave us purpose. You gave us hope. You reminded us why we exist." "We saved each other," Ethan said simply. "That's what families do." Sarah laughed, cried, both at once. "When did you get so wise?" "I have good teachers." They went inside together, ate cake, danced badly to classic rock, watched Gunner attempt karaoke and fail spectacularly. And when the night finally wound down, when the guests had gone and the clubhouse had quieted, Sarah stood at the window and watched the sunrise paint the Arizona mountains gold. She thought about everything that had led to this moment: the gas station, the brake lines, the 4 words that had started it all: "Don't start your bikes." Such a simple sentence, such an enormous impact. Her son had shouted those words into the desert air, and the world had shifted on its axis. Bad men had fallen, good people had risen. A broken family had found wholeness in the most unlikely of places. And now, standing in her home, surrounded by the people she loved, Sarah Cole Martinez understood something fundamental about life. It doesn't matter how small you are. It doesn't matter how scared you feel. It doesn't matter how impossible the odds seem. What matters is that you speak up. What matters is that you do what's right. What matters is that you refuse to stay silent when silence is the easier choice. Ethan had taught her that. Hell's Angels had shown her that. And now she would spend the rest of her life living that truth. Razor's arms wrapped around her from behind. "What are you thinking about? Beginnings," she said, "and endings, and how sometimes they're the same thing." Feeling philosophical. Feeling grateful. He kissed her temple. "Me too." Ethan appeared beside them, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "What are you guys doing, watching the sunrise?" "Why?" "Because it's beautiful, because it's a new day, because we're alive to see it." Ethan considered this with the seriousness he brought to everything. "Can I watch too?" "Always." The 3 of them stood together as the sun climbed higher, light flooding the valley, shadows retreating, a new day beginning. And Sarah Cole Martinez, who had once been drowning, who had once been broken, who had once believed she would never feel whole again, smiled at the horizon and spoke the only words that mattered. "We made it." Not just survived, not just endured, made it. Built something beautiful from the wreckage. Found family in the aftermath of loss. Ethan leaned against her. Razor held her close. "Yeah," her son said quietly. "We did." And outside, somewhere down the road, a motorcycle engine rumbled to life. The sound that had once meant danger, now meaning something else entirely. Home.